going on, everybody? Welcome to February. Friday, February 1st. We have a 5-game Friday slate, which is super weird. Makes me feel like I'm not on the right day, but here we are. How'd you shake out last night, man?
Made like 10%, so can't complain.
No.
It was one of those nights where like a lot went right, but nothing was in the right lineup.
Those nights happen from time to time.
How was your night?
No complaints either. Somewhere in that neighborhood as well. Just a hair up. Could have been a little bit better if I'm awake at 9:45. Yeah, look, it ended up being a slate that was significantly easier than it seemed. Once all that news broke, like, it just sort of opened the door to do what you wanted, and it didn't seem like ownership followed where it should have. Under-owned Harrison Barnes, stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the news obviously changed the entire slate, but yeah, it was just one of those where like all the Mavs guys on DraftKings, at least they were popular, they were owned. On guys like Barnes and Kleba, I ended up a little over the field. On Brunson and Powell, I was more over the field. It just ended up being a completely different slate, obviously, than when it started. And if you were playing DraftKings and had late swap, that continued throughout the night.
Yes, it did. Welcome LeBron James back to the NBA. All right, normal housekeeping. NBA strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including Fantasy Cruncher. So come join us, check it out, and get 50% off. We are also brought to you on Monday, Wednesday, Friday by Thrive Fantasy. If you go to bit.ly, as I type it, it's a really hard thing to type too. You got to type all the colons and slashes, and bit.ly isn't natural.
Some would say that you could type it beforehand and just copy and paste.
Some might say that. Bit.ly/Osimo. You get $10 on your first $10 deposit, 20 on 100, or 50 on 200. Thrive is a new DFS site using player props. So they give you a list of 20 player props. You choose your top 10. You're picking whether a player will go over or under a particular points, rebounds, assists, steals total, and you get points based on that. At the end of the show, Adam and I will go through our favorite 5. Did that tweet go out? Yeah, no. Did not. I'll do that manually once I throw it to you after we start this up. But I'm ready to go. I think that we could rip through this pretty quickly.
Yeah, we should be able to.
So stick around to see how we fail at that.
I don't even see a game where I'm like, oh, we're going to get stuck here.
No, not really. Hornets and Grizzlies. 105.5 implied total for the Hornets. 101 for the Grizzlies. A not appealing matchup for the Hornets. We've got Kemba Walker at 8,600 on FanDuel, 8,100 on DraftKings, $35 on Yahoo. Do you have any interest in Kemba here?
Some, just because of the price tag, but again, it's not a great matchup in terms of pace, in terms of defense, and I still think that there's legitimacy to the struggles Kemba's been having. It's not that Zeller's absence and his recent performance takes away from his ceiling, but the assists are still down, the efficiency is still down, and it makes sense in terms of the way Kemba plays and what Cody Zeller brings to the team. So I don't think it's not the same as earlier in the year where it would be like, oh, Kemba's 8,100. I don't care who he's playing. I don't care about anything. I'm just playing a ton of Kemba. The 50+ ceiling is certainly still there, but it's less likely he gets there, and his projection suffers a bit.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Projecting 18% ownership on DraftKings right now, and 31 on FanDuel. So little popular. 31 on FanDuel is a lot, but it is a 5-game slate, so not as if it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I have very little interest, I guess, in anything here. This strikes me as more of a Biyombo, Willie Hernan-Gomez game than a Marvin Williams MKG at the 5 game, but who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say Biyombo at 3,900 is actually pretty interesting to me. Yeah. His minutes have, obviously the last 3 games he's played 16, 13, and 14 minutes, but I agree with you that it strikes me as a Biyombo game. And then if you actually go and look at his game logs, 4 games ago, played Memphis 29 minutes in that game. for the most part, and there are exceptions like Sacramento, but for the most part, we've seen against the bigger, more traditional, especially offensively minded centers that Biyombo gets his minutes. But 14 minutes against Horford, that was anticipated. 13 minutes against Vonleh, 16 minutes against Brook Lopez, but 29 against Gasol, 24 against whoever was playing for Indiana, whether it was Turner or Sabonis in that game, 24 or 27 against DeAndre Ayton back on the 19th. It's been pretty stable in that regard. And, like Hernan Gomez isn't good defensively. That's why he doesn't play more minutes in the NBA. So unless they have to, you don't really anticipate them putting him out there with Gasol very, very much. So I think that on a 5-game slate, Biyombo is actually kind of interesting.
What do you have him projected for minutes?
I'll probably go to 26.
Okay. So yeah, I have him in for 18 right now. And that, just because of his last 3 games, I wanted to have the conversation if you thought that he would get additional run. That's what my thought process was. So what do you have? What would you think you would go to Willie then?
Probably around 18.
Oh, okay. I have him
I'll take a lot of the center minutes away from Marvin Williams.
Okay. This becomes like a 28 or 29 minute Marvin Williams game, you think?
Yeah, I'll probably end up with him around 30. Yeah, because I'll take a couple minutes from MKG and give those to Williams at the 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually I hadn't even looked, but last game against Memphis, Hernan Gomez played 18.
Okay. What did Biyombo play there?
29.
Good to know. Let's give a couple extra minutes here. See how much that changes. Yeah, that's going to make Biyombo look very useful on a day with little else going on. But there's some value to be found in New York. So we'll get there. Maybe.
Yeah. And with Biyombo too, it's just a nice spot to take that gamble because I assume he's not going to be popular because anyone who bases their minutes, on what happened the last couple of games is going to have him projected really low. Sites that people that use sites and don't do their own, minutes projections. When I think you and I have talked about it before, but when you're responsible for 500 people using your projections, you tend to not want to take, a Biyombo plays 8 more minutes here than he has in the last 3 games stand, because if you're wrong, you just screwed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whereas if you project 22 or 23, you're kind of safe either way. So I just think you're going to end up with him under projected because of a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
And if he does get those 26 plus minutes, you have a low owned, really cheap Biyombo.
And if it helps people, you'll get a real minutes projection out of Awesemo.com.
I
won't toe the line. No, that was my first thought. I wanted to see where you stood. But yeah, he'll be getting mid-20s minutes.
Yeah,
do you care about anything else for Charlotte? I'm trying to look at it to see if something is slipping through the cracks here, but it's just not.
Yeah, I mean, not particularly. Lamb's still playing right around 30 minutes. If I get there, it's fine. I like Jeremy Lamb as a player, but it's not the kind of spot where I normally like getting there. Williams, I expect to lose a couple minutes, like we just talked about. It's pretty much just Biyombo and I guess some Kemba.
Okay. Memphis side. Conley and Gasol, kind of a package deal when we talk here. Do you prefer one more than the other? Because the public does. I
prefer Gasol.
Okay, so does the public. 24% on DK, 6 for Conley.
Yeah, that's low on Conley at 7,900.
I agree.
So that's we're in the first game of the night, but that's a perfect pivot spot. If Kemba's 18% and Conley's 6,
yeah,
I would love to just have those flipped, or at least I don't even want to say it like that because I haven't made lineups and I have no idea. But it's the perfect spot where if I even ended up even on Kemba, but then 3 times the field on Conley or something like that, I'd be pretty happy.
As would I. That's just, he's too low. It's really all that there is. Which makes me wonder where the rest of this ownership is going. But yeah, 24% on Gasol right now. 35% on your boy, Kyle Anderson. How you feeling there?
His price went down. I don't even want to play.
It really is so unappealing when you know that you're going to have to play him. But if there's ever a spot to fade some chalk, sure shit, it's right here.
How does he fail, though?
I mean, you said that out loud, right? How would Kyle Anderson fail? I can't even fathom it.
refused to shoot the ball the entire game.
Yeah. Do you need me to post that link again of that final 20-second sequence? It'll look a lot like that.
So I mean,
34 minutes of it.
He played 30 minutes in regulation. He had picked up 2 fouls immediately in that game, so he lost like probably 6 minutes. It's 34 to 36 minutes of this guy in a good matchup at 4,400. I already know I'm going to end up at probably being even or higher on him.
Okay. Look, I understand what you're saying. Clearly, I mean, we're both coming at this from the exact same spot. A lot of what we say about Kyle Anderson is mildly tongue in cheek because just we've been playing DFS for a while, and we've been down this road countless times. It goes in many different directions. Normally, in the situations where you expect him to be good is the day that he puts up 8. And normally, the day where he's 4% owned is the day that he puts up 40. I don't know if I can get behind 3,500 or 35% on DraftKings. He's at 18 on FanDuel, which is much more palatable. If ever a slate needed some news to put some value out there to remove yourself from overexposing to Kyle Anderson, this is the one.
Yeah, I agree with.
I would hate myself for like 4 hours. I mean, even more than I do now.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that I like the spot too.
Yeah, look, everything looks great on the surface, and that's probably part of the reason that he's getting, that sort of love. He's just so irritating.
So
what's his eligibility? Point guard, small forward?
Yeah, point guard, small forward. Which makes it, again, even easier.
So weird.
Okay, so if you were like just hand building a lineup and you were looking for a pivot from Kyle Anderson, I think Justin Holiday is an interesting one.
Oh my God, what are we doing here?
So, but it's a very similar type play.
Yes.
At a fraction of the ownership because Holiday only played 23 minutes last game. There's nothing to say that doesn't happen again. Memphis played 12 guys in regulation last game. Washburn only for 3.5 minutes, but still 12 guys stepped on the floor. But you saw Justin Holiday play a boatload of minutes in the first half, but then he only played 3 minutes and 45 seconds in the second half, never came back. Bruno played a bunch of minutes over him. So Javon Carter picked up some of those minutes too. So there's certainly risk with Holiday. I feel like a lot better about Anderson. Anderson's my cash play, and I fully expect to have more of him, a lot more of him than Holiday. But I'm just pointing it out there because, like, if you were building an optimal lineup, roster construction wise, it's going to have Kyle Anderson in it, I would think.
Yeah.
And if you were looking for someone just to pivot to in that price range, Holiday is a really common sense one because he could potentially even steal minutes from Anderson in some situations, which would make it even better. So yeah, it's not something that like I'm highly recommending. It's just something that it makes sense from a strategy standpoint.
I hear you. So we have Kyle Anderson at 35% ownership. This is a tale of this slate here. Just under him, and I've sorted this by salary. These are people that are eligible at point guard or small forward or both. Anderson at 35%. And then we drop down $200 more to get 22% owned Mario Hezonja, 16% Justin Holiday, 14% Wayne Ellington. And I start to think to myself, like, oh, when did it become April?
Right.
That is a shocking level of shit at the bottom, man. Whew. I'm not I don't like any of, like, I don't want any part of any of this. I would rather have Hezonja than Kyle Anderson.
Not me.
Really?
Yeah.
If that ownership holds up, I would rather have a lot more of Hezonja than Kyle Anderson, and I have never said a sentence with less confidence in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, I don't know. I'd still rather have Anderson. What was Hezonja, like 16 or 22?
22.
Yeah, I would much rather have Anderson at 35 than Hezonja at 22.
Really? Why? And
because
now I'm not even trying to be funny, but like seriously, why?
Because I still have zero confidence in these Hezonja minutes being real. He played 32 last game, which great. Like that actually looked somewhat intended. But The games before that, you could make an argument that it was just completely game flow based, that he played more minutes than he normally would have. His minutes have been all over the place all season. I just, and he's not like a super, like he has upside, but on a permanent basis, he's not a super productive player. It's not like he's some point per minute guy getting more minutes now. He's, I think, a worse point per minute guy than Kyle Anderson is.
Let me look. 30. Anderson is 0.81 over the last 30. That's just what I have in front of me. Mario Hezonja over the last 30 days, which is obviously a minor, small sample size, was at 0.95.
Yeah, but he's played like 3 games over those 30 days.
Yeah, small sample nonetheless. I look at this Knicks team and it's just like, okay, well, who's left?
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's no Trey Burke. There's no Tim Hardaway. This smells like the perfect time where Mario Hezonja is like, yo, I got this. This is the guy that stepped over Giannis. He's not really thinking like clearly on a basketball court.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he kind of has to play minutes here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They are running mildly thin, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I still don't have Cantor on the floor.
I bet he plays. Actually, well no, Cornette's
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if now is the time that Cantor is back, now that like all of their big men are healthy, that is just fantastic.
Well, they could play Vonleh at the 4.
True.
Again, like they were most of the year.
Yeah. Well, that's more time than you're going to normally get on the Kyle Anderson versus Mario Hezonja debate. Anything else from Memphis? You mentioned Justin Holiday, 16% expected ownership on DraftKings, 10% on FanDuel. Look, like I understand why we're using these guys. It's very similar to yesterday where Laffy and I walked through a couple options where we're not happy about the value that is out there. It just happens to be. Yeah. I think the best play of this entire game is Mike Conley if he's 6% owned.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jaren Jackson's 5,300.
Yes, he is.
Surprisingly, he got in foul trouble against Minnesota.
How could that happen?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Rare.
He foul out in 22.
He's been bad. Well, like I mean,
really
he's a rookie, so I don't want it to come out like that. 0.93 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days.
Yeah, he fouled out in 22 minutes against Minnesota.
Fantastic. He is projected for 3% ownership, so you and I will both, be north of that.
Yep.
Good God. I don't have anything else in this game.
Yeah, it's a good tournament play, especially on a 5-game slate. Yeah. He's really cheap.
Oh my God, yeah. Or one out for JaMychal Green, I guess. Get him to a different team. 5 minutes in the last game.
I'll say, did he get hurt again, or was that just...
His last 3 games are 5 DNP 7.
Yeah, I mean, the 5 or the 7 and the DNP were injury related.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't see anything. He doesn't have like a tag on RotoWorld or anything.
The game 3, when he played 7 minutes, he had said he wasn't even going to play that game because he was hurt, but they were shorthanded, so he gave it a shot and couldn't stay out there.
Yeah.
Then he didn't play because of the injury. And then last game he was questionable and played, but I don't know.
I don't remember seeing anything about him coming out.
Yeah, neither do I. It's just weird.
Yeah, let me look.
Bruno is playing a lot.
Yes, he is. No, there's no note about it other than just like he played 5 minutes. I mean, he's clearly hurt, but
yeah,
I don't know what 5 minutes means.
Right. It solidifies Jaren Jackson's minutes if Jackson just stops fouling.
Right. Craziness. Okay, let's move it on. You don't have any interest in Bruno, right?
I mean, if I get some, that's fine, but I'm not real confident in those minutes still.
No.
And it's not like he's been super productive.
I didn't even know he was on the damn team until 4 days ago.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, there was a game where it was just like, oh, he's playing.
Yeah. Still young, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he's at 0.7 fantasy points per minute. He's played 4 games, but it's not like he's just going out there and like crushing in these minutes.
Right. All righty, here we go. The New York Knicks hosting the Boston Celtics. Perfect time to bring Boston in. 101 implied total for the Knicks. 114.5 for the Celtics. So 13.5 point underdogs in New York. It wouldn't shock me if that's the biggest like line they've ever faced as a home team in Madison Square Garden. And it could grow. Any thoughts from you on the trade? Do you even
I think
care?
I couldn't care less. But I think you and I agree on it that it makes a lot of sense for the Knicks.
Yeah.
I think that they probably will screw it up and it will be looked back on as a bad trade. And especially because like everyone already thinks it was a bad trade, so they're going to be real quick to say how bad of a trade it was, like in hindsight. But if the Knicks actually do what a competent team would do, I think it opened the door for them to pretty quickly turn things around.
Yeah, I liked it for the Knicks when I thought it was barely a first round pick. When it came out that it's 2, the first of which is unprotected once it gets delivered, I'm 100% all in on the Knicks side of this deal. I'm less and less convinced that the Mavs are making a good move, and I don't know, it's just craziness. I think it was Jason Concepcion on The Ringer was freaking out on the podcast yesterday about it, and he's like, when this turns into Tobias Harris and DeMarcus Cousins next year, I'm going to be so pissed. So it's going to be Cam Reddish, Tobias Harris, and somebody, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, cool, we're fucked.
Right, like that's what the Knicks are going to do. So if you want to judge it on what happens, then it's probably a bad trade. But if you want to judge it on like what a competent front office would do, it's kind of like when you're playing 2K and you get to where like you have no flexibility to do anything and it's not even fun anymore. They basically just hit the reset button and they had to give up Porzingis to do it, but they potentially get like Kyrie and Kevin Durant as a replacement. So
yeah, I look at this point now, their books are clean. They got off of all the garbage. They are going to have, you would assume, some sort of top 8 pick, we'll say, depending on how crappily it breaks. But a nice draft pick, 2 more picks coming from the Mavs in, the next 5 years to fill out rosters. Their own pick next year, which, if they do fail in free agency, will be fantastic. Kevin Knox is still there, whatever you think of him. Mitchell Robinson is there. These are rotational guys. I'm happy for the Knicks. Never thought I'd say it.
Yeah. I mean, their fan base, the thing is, like, as far as selling it to the fans and everything, at least right now in the heat of the moment, like when there were rumors of Porzingis for Anthony Davis, they were like pissed off.
Yeah.
And now they just traded him for Dennis Smith.
I just wish that the Mavs had someone other than Dennis Smith from last year's draft as the rookie that comes back, because he just doesn't fit well with Ntilikina. Well, I mean, they might fit pretty well next to each other, honestly, but I think you and I might be the only people that like Ntilikina.
And I don't even like him. I just think that he has. I think it's too early to judge him.
Right.
But
yeah, he doesn't need to do like. There's a Pat Beverly career in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, let's start.
I'm really excited about Porzingis and Doncic, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. That is fun. That is real fun. Now, I'm not really fond of it with like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Trey Burke and whoever else is on the floor with them too. Cossack, come on, man. The dude's like 20 years old. Frank isn't good. He's a career 9th man. He is a freak athletically from a defensive standpoint.
If he can do anything offensively, he's more than that. Like anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take my chances, man. That is a guy that I would want to get if the Knicks try to sell low.
I'm not like you're higher on him than I am, but I'm higher on him than
I think that he can be acquired for little, and that is the type of thing that you should take a shot on. All right, let's try to talk through this Knicks team. I've got 9 guys getting minutes in between 20 and 32. I assume someone breaks free from that and gets a ton, but I don't know where to start. I don't even know where to start. So Noah Vonleh, we're going to work our way down because we almost need to talk about everybody. 5,500 for Vonleh on FanDuel, 14% ownership. 6K on DraftKings, 1% ownership. I assume that you and I are going to like Noah Vonleh here.
Kind of.
Yeah. I like him more than 1%. That much is a given.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that he's the most expensive guy on the team, and I think there's going to be a lot of guys playing big minutes that are cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, I agree. I like it. You know, if that was 10 on DK, then it's just like, okay, I can take it or leave it. But if he's really just going to be fully overlooked because of his price tag, and I think Eddie touched on this a little bit on Live Before Lock last night, but I think that him being 6K and not 5,900 is like a massive boon.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Like, I mean, I don't know about you. Like, I do the same thing. I look and I'm just like, oh, he's 6K.
Yeah.
You know, or oh, he's less than 6K. You know, obviously we use optimizers and stuff, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's definitely a mental thing that can matter.
Right. So I like the idea of having a little bit more Vonleh than that for sure. And he's clearly fine for 5,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Mario Hezonja. We just talked about him. 4,400 on FanDuel, 42 on DK, $10 flat 10 on Yahoo, which I shouldn't have to tell you guys what to do there. He's 24% owned on FanDuel, 22 on DK. I think that is very reasonable. I have him in for 30 minutes right now. It would blow my mind if he didn't play 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like him more now that I remembered that they traded their whole team.
Easily forgettable. This is a team that had too many point guards like 3 weeks ago, and now all of them are gone. Yeah. Mudiay is hurt. Frank Ntilikina is hurt. Trey Burke is no longer with us. And insane. So I love Hezonja. I like him more than Kyle Anderson. I hate myself for saying it.
I still like Kyle Anderson more.
That's fair.
I like Hezonja.
Yeah, this is not exactly a great matchup for the Knicks.
That's a little bit of an understatement.
They essentially traded their 3 best creators in the same deal, one of which was already hurt, but Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. Who makes offense on this team? Dust off Kadima Allen, I guess. Yeah, so what do you think of Trier? 37% expected ownership on FanDuel at a ridiculous 4K price tag. DraftKings a little bit quicker on the draw, 5,400. Only at 2%.
Obviously, wait, how much? What percent?
2?
Oh, I thought you said 22. I was like, no. Yeah, so obviously much better on FanDuel. DraftKings, like the opportunity is certainly there. He's played 225 minutes without any of Cantor, Hardaway, Burke, or Mudiay on the floor this year. He has a 25.5% usage rate, which is nice. He's only averaged 0.8 fantasy points per minute. And then you have to keep in mind, if all 4 of those guys are off the floor, he's playing against the bench a lot of the time there. So he should actually be averaging more points per minute than he would against a starting unit. He's facing a very good defense that, you know, he's going to be the guy creating on offense now. So it's not like he's like hiding somewhere and quietly putting up a game. Like he's the guy out there. So if he's 2%, I can see, you know, having a little bit more, but even though I think the minutes are there and the opportunities there, I think it's just still a ridiculously tough spot for him.
I agree. The 4K price tag on FanDuel is obviously representative of that ownership. It makes perfect sense for him to be 37% owned at 4K.
Yeah, no question.
What's your interest level in Knox? 5K on FanDuel, 57 on DraftKings, no ownership on DK.
Not really that interested.
He's bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one. Like he'll have the opportunity. He's played 170 minutes. He has a 25.5% usage rate. He's averaged 0.83 points per minute. He's at his best, like in transition and, you know, being able to use his athleticism. And this isn't really the matchup for that. So, yeah, I just.
By the way, you haven't seen anything that like any of the Mavs guys can play today, right?
I haven't.
Okay, neither did I. That obviously changes a lot if DeAndre Jordan, Wes Matthews, and Dennis Smith Jr. are available for the Knicks tonight, but I have seen nothing along those lines, yeah, so I don't think that
neither have I assume they will take their sweet-ass time getting there.
I don't think that 2 of them ever play for them, but that's neither here nor there.
Matthews and Jordan, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with the Unicorn net? 5,500 on FanDuel is an easy fade, but 4,300 on DK is appealing.
Yeah, that's mildly appealing. Obviously we'll have to pay attention to if he's on any sort of minutes restriction, but if he were to get 28 minutes, then it becomes pretty appealing. If he's only going to get
24 right now.
Yeah, so do I. I would say if he only gets like 24, it's obviously less appealing because it's a matchup where you don't expect him to be very efficient on a per minute basis. So you kind of, even more so than normal, like need those extra minutes.
Yeah, he'll shoot. So I'll take my chances there. I'd really like to get word on his playing time. I think Mitchell Robinson is pretty safely just not on the table here.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because it's not like he's minimum priced. He's 4,200 on DraftKings.
Right.
He's more expensive on DraftKings than Biyombo is, and there's not a huge difference in what you would expect productivity wise.
And it's not as if the Celtics are a team where they need Mitchell Robinson to play like 32 minutes as a true center.
Right. Like I think he'll obviously get his run because they want to play him, and they're not playing for anything. But I don't see it with Cornet back.
Okay. Kadeem Allen as a min-sal drop on FanDuel, I think, is fine.
Yeah, I think he's fine on DraftKings.
Has to play a ton.
I think he's fine on DraftKings too at 3,300.
Yeah, he's getting mid-teens ownership, which I think is totally reasonable. Shout out to Wilmington, North Carolina, Kadeem. Rep our
I was going to ask if you knew anything about him at all.
Not really. I mean, like, I knew his name because he was good coming out of town, but it's not like I went to like high school basketball games or anything.
Yeah.
He would have to be like, if Zion were in Wilmington, I'd probably go to a high school game.
Yeah.
He was just like, good for town. Hey, he's in the L, so we'll take it. But no, I don't know much. I know that his price is appealing today. And that he is now the starting point guard for the Knicks.
I did not see this coming a week ago.
I'm sure he didn't either. He wasn't even with the team.
Right.
That dude he's going to start in Madison Square Garden against the Celtics tonight.
Yeah, that's an insane turn.
For real. Oh my God. He's going to be puking in the toilet before that shit starts.
I was going to say, how do you think he's feeling right now?
I mean, probably great. I mean, he has to know that the writing's on the wall, but he gets this one. And if you're going to have one moment, because as soon as Dennis Smith Jr. is here, like the starting of Kadeem Allen goes away. But man, that's quite the experience to come out at MSG. Good for him, man. Kudos. Play him tonight. Looks good. FanDuel, close your eyes and click the button. Doesn't matter at all. Damian Dotson, Lance Thomas, in for either of those guys?
Definitely not Lance Thomas. Dotson, if you get some in tournaments, it's fine, just because who knows how these minutes are actually going to break, and he potentially could play a lot. I give the edge to Allen. I'd give the edge to basically everyone else we've talked about, Hezonja, Cornet. But if you're playing a bunch of lineups, sure, like he's actually played the most minutes on the Knicks without those guys on the floor. 0.93 fantasy points per minute, 20% usage, contributes some in the way of rebounding and assists. So it's really just a minutes thing for him. And I think he has probably one of the wider minutes ranges out of these guys, just because you could definitely map it out to where he plays like 22. You could also map it out to where he plays like 32. So I don't think I would want to play him with Allen in the same lineup.
Okay. Do you think that Cantor plays?
No.
Okay. And when I say I mean plays like anything of relevance.
Yeah. No, I assume it'll be Cornet and Robinson, and then Vonleh plays the 4. So, yeah, I mean the really the way that I would see Cantor playing is if Robinson gets in foul trouble and they don't want to go to Vonleh at the 5, then you could see Cantor pick up some minutes, like a few, especially if they're trying to limit Cornet. But I don't think it ends up mattering.
I agree. We got a question if we could rank our favorite plays from the Knicks from Yahoo. I think that we would probably agree that it's Vonleh at 21, Hezonja at the flat minimum, and Trier at $15.
It would be Hezonja 1 for me, then either Vonleh or Trier.
Yeah, Hezonja number 1 for me as well. Yeah. I was just reading them straight down.
Oh, yeah.
And then probably Cornet at $13 would be fourth for me, but that I don't really like it all that much.
Yep, I agree.
There we go. All right, Boston.
How much is Knox?
16. He's the second most expensive guy behind Vonleh. That's just no, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. Boston. By all accounts, we have a fully healthy team. By all accounts, they should sit like 4 of these dudes. It seems like a really good game to give Daniel Tice like 26 minutes and like give Horford a nap.
Yeah, I was gonna say Horford like doesn't play, right?
They should sit people here. There's just the Knicks are fielding, I don't know, like 2.5 NBA players tonight.
Do the Celtics play tomorrow?
I have no idea.
I feel like everyone plays tomorrow.
The Celtics do not play tomorrow. They play Sunday against the Thunder. Yeah, you should not be playing Al Horford here. Or Kyrie, for that matter.
Yeah, really weird game for Kyrie to come back.
Yeah, it's probably in their best interest to not play Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how quickly the Knicks jumped on Dennis Smith Jr. after he had a good game.
Yeah. And maybe he wants to get a feel for MSG one last time before he plays there and burns the Celtics, which would just be fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, so assuming these guys are in, because
we have no choice.
Yeah. Obviously, they're good plays. Kyrie's expensive as hell, but there's some value coming from the other side of this game.
Kadeem Allen has to guard Kyrie Irving. I mean, like, it doesn't have to be literally that, but that's the experience that Kadeem Allen gets. Right. Quite possibly the most difficult man to guard on the ball in the league.
Yeah.
Good luck, man. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, obviously
24% ownership for Kyrie at 10-5 on FanDuel today.
You said how much ownership?
24.
Yeah. Seems fine. I mean, the risk that you run, and Lofty mentions it a lot with the rotations that Stevens runs, if the Celtics do blow out the Knicks, Kyrie just is at more risk of losing minutes than most guys.
Yeah.
But that's also not something that I want to worry about.
I want to worry about it a little bit if he's 24% owned.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, it doesn't mean that I walk away from it. But on a 5-game slate, if he's getting a quarter of the ownership, like, what else is out there at point guard that's catching that sort of ownership? 1 second, pulling this up here. I think that's sort of the relevant piece.
Yeah, I mean, the position's kind of ugly. Like, you have Westbrook at the top. But
Westbrook's at 40 right now. So Westbrook at 40, Kyrie at 24, Kemba at 31, Rubio at 33. These are all FanDuel numbers, by the way.
Right.
Like, I would rather...
And how much is Kemba on FanDuel?
86.
And you said Kyrie's 10-5?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I like lower owned Kyrie, but that's a pretty steep price difference.
Yes. Mike Conley is 8,500 on FanDuel. He has 10% projected ownership.
That's ownership wise, that's still my favorite play there.
Yeah. Man, point guard is really gross, though. I'm starting to see why that ownership is being carried the way that it is.
Chris Paul with more minutes, too.
Yeah. 7,300. Yeah. Hey, maybe it makes sense.
But yeah, point guard's ugly.
Yeah, if I have some Kyrie, I assume that'll be somewhere around the field. He's at 18% on DraftKings, 9,600. I think that's fine. Jason Tatum looks pretty good, 6,600 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DraftKings. What do you think of Tatum tonight?
Yeah, it's a nice price tag for him. I wasn't there the last couple of days when he was like 40% owned, but with Kyrie back, I assume that'll come down a bit. And the price tag obviously is really appealing. It's a good matchup. So no issues with Tatum at all.
Okay. Anybody else stand out for you from the Celtics?
If Horford plays, I like Horford.
Do you think that he could body up Mitchell Robinson and Luke Cornett?
I think Horford has a pretty productive game if he plays.
That's a safe bet. 7,900 on FanDuel, garnering only 4% ownership. 7K on DraftKings, 10%. Yeah, I mean, throw a dart for Boston, basically.
Yeah. There's points coming from somewhere for this team.
Yeah. Well, you should hope. I have them projected for 246.5 DraftKings points total. I have the Knicks at 208. It's like the Celtics get to play an extra guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oy. Yeah, I don't have anybody to really point out. I'd be fine with some Marcus Smart. Not a lot. I'm fine with some Marcus Morris. Not a lot. Don't play Terry Rozier in a lineup with Kyrie Irving, but Terry Rozier's, well, he doesn't even matter. He's 7,600 on. Why the fuck is Terry Rozier 7,600 on FanDuel? He's the third most expensive guy on the Celtics right now. Even 5,500 on DraftKings. Like, they're pricing him. I mean, I guess I like what they're doing, but you can't even use him. I don't even like the idea of using him in 150 if you think like he gets a couple extra minutes.
Yeah, no, me neither. Jalen's interesting just because he's been playing really, really well.
Yeah.
Kyrie coming back obviously affects those minutes, but he's been playing so well. You'd think that they could find him some minutes anyway.
Yeah, I don't hate it. 4,900, 2% ownership. That's appealing. And then Gordon Hayward just continues to be the ghost in this team, both skin tonally and the way that he's playing.
Yeah, I hope he at some point ends up being like good at basketball again.
Me too. I like him. I always have. Alrighty, let's get out of this game.
Oh, completely unrelated to Gordon Hayward, but it made me think of it. Did you see what Tony Parker said about Oladipo's injury?
No.
Because Parker went through the torn quad,
right?
And Parker said that it's worse than a torn Achilles, it's worse than a torn ACL. That it was 2 years. He said so. I guess Parker tore his 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Parker said this is just now he's starting to feel like himself again.
Sure, the Pacers love that.
Yeah.
That's not great. Ugh. Shout out to Oladipo. All right, Miami Heat taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. 107 implied total for the Heat, 111.5 for the Thunder. Massive pace up spot for Miami. We're going to start with Whiteside. He's 7,600 on FanDuel. He's 6,700 on DK. We're projecting 17% ownership. He played 15 minutes the last game. Bam got 33. This feels like a game where you get more Whiteside than Bam, or am I crazy?
I agree with you.
Okay. That said, if he's already at 17% ownership, I'm significantly less interested.
Yeah, and also, right, I agree. It's not a spot where if he's really popular, I want to be there. It's worth noting too that you can't just. I think it's a spot that is better for Whiteside than Bam, but you can't predict this based on matchups because Spoelstra just doesn't cooperate. He got beat around by Robin Lopez last game. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like he's playing well.
Right.
So he's not making it easy for Spoelstra to keep him on the floor, even if Spoelstra wanted to.
I agree. Here's what I think is interesting. I'm going to read off a couple centers. Hassan Whiteside, 6,700. Steven Adams, 64. Noah Vonleh, 6K. Jaren Jackson, 5,300. Whiteside is at 17% ownership. Adams is at 5. Vonleh, 1. Jackson, 3. On a day where I would normally want to play Hassan Whiteside, they're making it really easy to go to those other guys.
Yeah, I would so much rather play Adams there, assuming he's in.
Yes. And he does not strike me as the guy that sits out twice in a row.
Yeah.
Dude's probably chomping at the bit. He's probably been in the gym since he got ruled out.
Right.
Yeah, I think that I would be very comfortable not being around a big number on Whiteside, even though when I originally looked at this stuff, I was like, oh, this can be the game where Whiteside gets more minutes. Now I just don't care.
Right. And I mean, you can just, it's one of those things where you can break it down like math wise and it just makes sense because, so let's say Whiteside even gets 28 minutes and Whiteside for the season averages, I'm going to guess like 1.2.
1.33 over the last 30 days, if that helps.
Yeah, he's 1.33 for the season also. Okay, so you're going to get like 28 minutes of Whiteside at 1.33. We'll ignore matchup and everything else. That gives you like 37 points. Or you can get basically a point per minute from Steven Adams for 36 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same production, but Adams' minutes are more secure and Adams is lower owned.
And Adams is probably going to work a bit harder than Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah. I mean, the counter argument is that Whiteside is the more volatile player and he has the ability to just go nuts. But, when he's the highest owned guy out of the group and he's the one whose minutes could go anywhere from 15 to 30, that's not as important to me as the ownership and the fact that Adams' minutes are just more consistent.
Yeah. Even Vonleh for 6K, which sounds like an expensive price tag on DraftKings, but if he really is 1 or 2% or something like that, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he plays mid-30s minutes in this game.
Right.
Those minutes are there for the taking for the Knicks, especially if if it stays close with him on the floor. I mean, it's not like he's not the type of guy that Fizdale sits because he's not working hard.
Yeah, no, he's the most important player on this team right now.
Yeah. God, that's scary. So yeah, I'm not following that number on DraftKings. A lot of ownership coming to the Heat tonight. What do you think of 19% Justice Winslow, 16% Wade, 19% Tyler Johnson, 14% Wayne Ellington?
16, what you said, 16% Wade?
Yes, Dwayne Wade.
What the hell is his price?
5,000.
I mean, I get it, I guess, but I'd rather play $4,200 Tyler Johnson or $3,600 Wayne Ellington.
Same and same. You and I are on the same page for that one.
I do like Winslow. 5,800 for him. The way he's been playing is pretty insane.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think Waiters plays today? 18 minutes in the last 2 games. I'm assuming that pisses him off.
I'm assuming he does too, but I'm also assuming that Spoelstra doesn't really care.
I think it's just crazy that he only played 18 minutes and Wade sat.
Yeah, that made no sense to me.
And there's no Derek Jones. I know that's not apples to apples, but it's still just another guy that was playing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Tyler Johnson came off the bench, the writing was kind of on the wall, though.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess with Ellington though, he could very easily just disappear with Wade back.
From the rotation?
No, but to where
because that's also not even a 0% chance.
Right. But I'm just trying to think with Wade back, I think Tyler Johnson goes back to the starting lineup.
I would imagine, yeah.
And Ellington wouldn't play 30 minutes off the bench.
I have him in for 29 right now.
Yeah, that seems high to me. Because that's the baseline I have too, but I just think that seems high.
I don't know who to give those minutes to then. So let's walk Wade. Let's walk Ellington. When he plays, he just plays a lot.
Well, yeah, but normally he starts. I don't think he starts here because they don't need Johnson and Wade coming off the bench.
So what do you? How many minutes do you think Wayne Ellington plays tonight?
Hang on. So the last game because the last 2 games Ellington played, he started for Tyler Johnson, and Wade was in, and then he started for Tyler Johnson and Wade was out. So you can give a lot of those minutes to Wade and knock Ellington down pretty far, I think.
I've got Wade at 24 right now. I mean, obviously we're guessing because this team is a fucking nightmare.
Right. No, I think Wade at 24 makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so if let's say Tyler Johnson starts and plays 32.
Okay, so I have him at 28 right now. So I can naturally just bump him to 30 and pull 2 from Wayne to start.
Right. Okay, so yeah, we'll call Tyler Johnson 30 and we'll call Winslow 32.
I have 33.
Okay, so
I don't think either of us are mad there.
No, so you give Wade the rest of the minutes behind Winslow, 15 minutes there. You give him his other 9 minutes behind Johnson. So that gives Ellington 9 minutes at the 2, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. So it would give him 9 minutes at the 2, and then you have Richardson playing 34 minutes at the 3. So whatever 14 plus 9 is, 25.
Okay, I have him at 27 right now, so we're in the same ballpark. Do you have Olynyk playing at all?
Yeah, not a lot. So all right. So I guess that's the question then, because Waiters gets minutes too. Richardson,
I have waiters in for 20. It could just as easily be 18 or 28.
Right. Yeah, I think it comes down to Ellington versus Olynyk, because they could either play Olynyk more and then Ellington kind of gets phased out because you have Richardson playing all of his minutes at the 3, or they could not play Olynyk much. Richardson backs up James Johnson. It opens up more minutes for Ellington. In this matchup, I would lean towards that because I don't think they need Olynyk out there for like Patrick Patterson or Jeremy Grant.
No, like Olynyk's in a terrible spot for this game.
Yeah. So I think I would lean towards like around 22 to 24 minutes for Ellington.
Okay. So then you are not liking him as much at 15% ownership or whatever.
No. Yeah,
I mean, he needs every bit of 30 plus to be any good.
Right. Yeah. Like, and I'll map it out after the show, just make sure that's where I'm at. But just kind of talking through it, I think that sounds right.
Yeah. And then who the hell knows what James Johnson's doing in minutes now?
Right.
That dude is an enigma on this team, man. He's the one that I get the least.
He's been kind of consistent lately, and Jones being out obviously helps.
18 in the last one.
I was
30, 24, and 26.
Yeah, I was looking at the one with 30.
Yeah. I can't remember my head around any of it.
Kelly Olynyk played the entire first half there.
Yeah. Clearly. I had to see that one coming from a mile away. Honestly, at this point in time, play the guys that normally play 30 minutes, fade the ownership of guys that don't. If you have to dumb down the heat.
Yeah, fade the ownership in general unless it's named Winslow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Certainly don't follow it with Dwayne Wade. Like, not that he's a problem, but like it's just...
Yeah, it's not that I dislike Wade or dislike the spot or anything. It's just that anytime a guy playing 24 minutes a night is like 15+% owned, it's normally pretty easy to find something else.
Yeah, all right. Let's get the hell away from the Heat and let's talk Thunder. Russ, 11-6 on FanDuel. Paul George, 11-4. Certainly didn't see that coming at the beginning of the season. Apparently the public doesn't believe in those things because Russ is at 40% ownership and Paul George is at 11. That stand out to you?
Yeah. I don't want to pay that. I really don't want to pay that price tag for George, but I also don't think that him and Westbrook should be that far apart if you take away the names and actually just look at what they do.
Oh yeah, it's that's a large gap. They're 27 and 21% on DK, where Russ is 11 and Paul George is 99. I'd rather have Paul George for sure in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean for the season, George averages 1.34 points per minute. Westbrook averages 1.48. Westbrook obviously is the more productive of the two, but it's not like it's by some like really wide margin.
No, I would rather have George on DraftKings than Russ today.
What did you say the ownership difference was?
Russ 27, George 21. Like that's marginal to me. It's essentially the same, but I'd rather just have George.
I'll probably have more Westbrook just because the position's so bad.
You look at it. Fuck, Harden's still 12-9. Jesus. Yeah, everything's just sort of similar. James Harden's just breaking everything that I look at. So
yeah. I mean, I guess that's what it'll come down to is can I find the money to get the Harden?
Yep, that's for sure. Yeah. So I prefer George to Westbrook on DK. I have no choice but to prefer. Well, the gap should be closer on FanDuel. But point guard's just a mess.
Yeah, it's bad.
Adams, we sort of touched on in the Whiteside piece. He's at 5% on DK. If he plays, I like that.
Yeah, so do I. And if he doesn't, obviously you can play Noel.
Yes, you can. Where are you at on this one, DraftKings? Why isn't Nerlens Noel $6,000 on? Why doesn't he get the Terry Rozier treatment? Anything else, Grant or Schroeder?
If Ferguson sits, maybe a couple more minutes for Schroeder, but.
Yeah, I don't have nothing wild here. Jeremy Grant, 18% ownership on FanDuel right now.
Is he cheap?
$6K.
That seems weird.
Who
I'd
does the
like him
rest of the
more if
power
Adam
forward look
sits.
like? I mean, they have Tatum, Collins, Favors, Marvin Williams, Bam, Millsap at a cheap ass price, Vonleh, Fareed, Jaren Jackson. I don't need 18% Jeremy Grant in that scenario.
No.
Yeah, fade that. I'm good on this game. We got 2 left.
Sounds good.
Hit that like button, people. Utah Jazz hosting the Atlanta Hawks. 119 implied total for the Jazz, 107.5 for the Hawks. Rudy Gobert, not an all-star.
That's absurd.
Yes, it is. Zach Lowe tweeted that they should make Rudy Gobert the replacement for Oladipo. It's not wrong. Massive pace up spot for the Jazz. 9,200 for the snubbed Rudy Gobert. 8,500 on DraftKings. Low 20s in ownership. If this doesn't feel like a fantastic Rudy Gobert game, I don't know what does.
It does.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yep. Very much in on Rudy Gobert in this spot, and it has nothing to do with snub narratives.
No, not at all. It helps.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt.
No, not at all. I don't mind having that as a cherry on top.
Right.
But he's 8,500 on DraftKings against the Atlanta Hawks. It's going to be SWAT City in the paint all day.
Yeah. Trae Young driving to the basket a lot.
Yeah, just bouncing off of him.
Yeah.
Trae Young's all bummed, man. He thought he could have been in Dallas playing with KP. Yeah, I love Rudy Gobert here. What do you think about Donovan Mitchell? 8,800 on FanDuel, 8,800 on DraftKings, garnering quite a bit of ownership on FanDuel and in the teens on DK.
I don't really want to get there. It's not that I dislike him. I mean, it's obviously a good spot, and I like him as a player. But Rubio's playing more minutes now, and that's the reason that Mitchell's production has gone up so much recently. Is that he's playing more minutes without Rubio. He's still getting the backup point guard minutes, which is nice. But I think it's getting to a point where he's priced pretty correctly as Rubio plays more.
Yeah, I agree. I understand the ownership. I think that it's just sort of right where he should be.
Right.
It's clearly an appealing spot anytime you're playing Atlanta, getting a pace up, getting a terrible defense. All the signs are for good things coming out of Utah, but he's just kind of right where he should be. Any Rubio? I mean, these guys are getting a ton of ownership. Gobert, Mitchell, Rubio, Ingles, Favors, Crowder, all in the 20s or higher on FanDuel, all at least 12% or higher on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, their price tags, at least on DraftKings, are just too low. Like Rubio at 6,100. He played 26 minutes last game, but it was a blowout against Portland. He played like 14 or 15 minutes in the first half. I'm going to end up with him at like 30 to 32 minutes here. And it's obviously a good spot. And then you have, Favors and Crowder. You don't want them together, but one of them probably has a good game. It's a nice spot for them. Ingles at 5,300. I hate rostering him, but
26% ownership.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty high floor play. It's too low of a price tag for him in this spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I understand why he's 26. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of where I would be, but
right.
Joe Ingles doesn't strike me as the type of guy that I need a lot of. I mean, I like, again, the spot is fantastic, but he's not the guy that I want the most of from the Jazz in this instance.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys where like 5,300 is a really nice price to me, but if he were like 5,900, I would just be like running the other way.
Yeah. These guys are priced really nice on FanDuel too. Crowder, $200 cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DK. I like having these guys. Gobert, a clear number one, even price included.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, I love Gobert.
Yeah, me too. Someone asked earlier, I want to bring it up, Gobert or Marc Gasol?
I think it's close. I would lean Gobert.
Yeah, so would I. I think there's more on the high end for Gobert in this spot.
I'd like to get both of them on DraftKings.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset about that either. Let's move to Atlanta. John Collins is 7,200 on FanDuel and 7,400 on DraftKings. That's not all that appealing for me. I rarely get John Collins.
Me neither, especially now that they're playing. They're healthy again, and they're playing like 15 guys.
Yeah. Deadman.
Like
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
no, I was just gonna say like last game they got blown out by Sacramento, so you can't take a whole lot from those minutes.
Yeah.
But the game before that, like Trae Young led the team with 31.4 minutes, and that was before Bazemore came back. Carter was at or not Carter. Collins was at exactly like 30.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot when he was getting 34 and 35 minutes a night, but now we are basically back to the Atlanta team of the beginning of the season where everybody plays.
The only guy that grades out for me in too high to his ownership level here is I continue to get Prince. He's at 7% ownership, 4,900. I guess I'm okay with that. Deadman projecting for 19% ownership. Am I missing something here? Do they just think he gets additional run because of Gobert?
I have no idea, but I don't.
I don't think it.
Like I think he plays 26 to 28 minutes.
Yeah, I have him in for 26.
What was I going to say? Oh, last game, I mean, it was a blowout, so it doesn't completely count, but 13 different players stepped on the floor for the Hawks last game.
Fucking hate the Hawks.
Two of them, Anderson and Hamilton, were both blowout run, and then Vince Carter played 4 first half minutes, and that was it. So that makes it 10. But it's again, they're playing everybody.
Yeah.
And Bazemore's going to start getting more minutes eventually.
Yeah, what do you think he plays here? I have him in for 18. That's probably too low.
Yeah, I'll probably go 20.
My only concern is that they might not let him rip until after the deadline if they don't move him.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I mean, he played 19 last game, so I'll probably just give him 20. They had said he was on a 20 minutes cap before that game.
I mean, I could easily give him 2 more and take them from, I don't know, Amari Spellman or whatever.
Bembry.
Yeah. I already have Bembry at 25, but he can easily go to 23 and Bazemore to 20. I don't want either of the guys anyway, so it makes no difference.
Right. Yeah, I don't really think I get to anything from this team.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit of Prince at 4,900, but other than that, nothing.
I'll have a little bit. I could see actually maybe getting some Len at 4,400.
Yeah.
Because he should be playing against Derek Favors, which is nice for a lot of his minutes. And he, at 4,400, if something happens and he gets more minutes, he can certainly.
He's big enough.
Yeah, he can be helpful.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's close this out. With, I don't know, the only game I actually care about. The Denver Nuggets hosting the Houston Rockets. Late night hammer. 116 implied total for the Nuggets, 111 for the Rockets. Not a particularly great matchup from a pace perspective. No Jamal Murray for Denver. Gary Harris is perpetually questionable. I have him in right now. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows how much he plays as well, if he plays. I have him in for 32 minutes. It could be anything. Start with Jokic, 11.5 on FanDuel, 10.8 on DraftKings, $50 on Yahoo. How do you feel about Jokic here?
Absolutely love him.
So I don't. And
really?
I've obviously been the Jokic whisperer for a while. I ran Wowie for Jamal Murray off. And it didn't really have Jokic with the best rates.
Yeah, no, they're low. I just don't believe them.
Okay. So I have him as a 1, and I'm not confident about this, so I kind of want to have that conversation. I have him as a 1.5 guy today, and he's been at 1.65 for the past 30 days. So that is a gigantic gap in what I'm getting based on rates and what he has been. I assume you think that I am greatly underestimating him at 1.5.
Yeah, I'm just completely ignoring the Jamal Murray thing and treating him like he's played for the last month.
Okay.
Because the Jamal Murray thing just doesn't make any sense to me in terms of theory.
I don't disagree.
So I'm just ignoring it.
I don't disagree. Yeah, big time cut in his rebounding rate. Usage is down a little bit. None of it made sense.
And I mean, for what it's worth, it's been 3 games that Murray's been out now?
Yeah. I bumped him up. I'm back up to 1.6.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, the last 3 games for Jokic, 31.5%, 32.7%, 23% with 10 assists and 13 rebounds.
Yeah, it's craziness. I wasn't comfortable. Like when it came up, I was just like, "Holy shit!" But I knew that I needed to have that discussion.
Yeah, no, when Murray was ruled out that first game, Lofty and I talked about it in DMs because like Lofty messaged me and was like, "Oh man, I can't wait to see Jokic's numbers without Murray." And then he messaged me again and was just like, "Oh my god, like it sucks."
Yeah.
And
I mean,
like,
they're still fantastic, but they're just not like what you think they're going to be.
Yeah, and I made the decision pretty quickly. I was okay. Well, I'm going to just throw these out the window and hope this isn't some weird thing that I just don't understand.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued by it because he should obviously eat Kenneth Faried and whoever. So,
yeah,
11-5
I would say
on FanDuel, 10-8 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I would say Jokic is my number one center, then Gobert, then Gasol.
Okay. Jokic 32% ownership on DraftKings. I'm fine. I get it, I guess. I think I would probably prefer Gobert, but I'd want to see how the builds shake out. It's just a lot of money.
Yeah. 37 minutes last game too. Kind of surprising.
You have him in for 34 right now. That number could easily be 36, which will make him even more appealing.
Do they play tomorrow? That'll probably be my tiebreaker between 34 and 30.
They do. They are at the Wolves.
Yeah, I'll probably go 34 then.
Okay. And the Rockets do not play tomorrow. Yes, they do. They are at the Jazz. So, okay. Paul Millsap, 5,400 on FanDuel, 5K on DK. Apparently, they started to dust him off. 34 minutes the last game, 29 the game before that. I've got him in for 27 right now. Comes out as a fantastic play, but also 30% ownership on both sites. What do you want to do with Millsap?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with 28 minutes for Millsap, I think. Yeah. I just don't. I mean, that's been like for most of the season where he's at. So I don't want to go too crazy just because he played 34 last game.
Oh, same. He's barely been playing for like a month.
Right. And part of that was blowout based, but still, like there were several close games where he still didn't play a lot. So I don't want to go too crazy there, especially since you said he's projected for high ownership. You're not getting like you're not taking a massive stand by being the one who thinks he plays a lot, since apparently everyone does. So yeah, I mean, I think that he's a perfectly fine play at 5K.
Will Barton, 6,500 on FanDuel, 24% ownership, 66 on DK, 10. How you liking Will Barton?
It's okay. I'd like it more if he hadn't given up point guard duties to Monte Morris last game.
Yeah. Morris getting monster run there, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess that's sort of an interesting transition. Not necessarily what do you feel about Monte Morris. He's 4,500 on FanDuel with 51% ownership. Do you think he gets that run, or do you think that they play Torrey Craig 30 minutes because they're playing James Harden?
I think Torrey Craig gets more minutes.
I got him to 18, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to keep giving him more.
It wouldn't be surprising at all to me if Torrey Craig starts this game, actually.
I agree.
In which case, I would like Will Barton more. Assuming that Craig starting means Barton goes back to point guard and Morris goes back to the bench.
Yeah,
I would like Barton more. If Barton goes to the bench, I think Barton would actually be fine there too. Basically, the starting lineup last game was like the worst spot Barton can be in because he's out there playing with Morris, Millsap, and Jokic, and there's another point guard out there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're gonna need news. We probably won't get news, but I think this is going to end up being a stance where I have Torrey Craig projected for way more minutes than anybody else in this industry.
I agree completely.
That is exactly how they deploy him. This is exactly the spot to deploy him like that. They do not need Monte Morris to be running the point. This whole damn team is a group of ball handlers.
Right.
It's just not that kind of game. So what, in this scenario, let's say we get Torrey Craig at 28 minutes?
I'm trying to pull up the last time they played real quick.
Okay.
He played 26 last time, but I don't know if there was a reason. That's actually less than I was expecting.
Cool.
Okay, so the game blew out late in the fourth. Otherwise, he would have played like 30.
Okay.
Yeah, so he started that game, but he was starting like all games back then, I think.
Like I have Craig at 18 right now and Monty Morris at 34. If I move Craig to 28 and Monty Morris to 24, does that seem realistic to you?
Yeah. I would probably try and end up with Morris around like 20, a little bit higher, but yeah,
Okay.
like 26 or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 minutes to throw away from Hernan Gomez. You can pull money or minutes from Malik Beasley if Barton and Harris are both healthy. But
right.
And
I wish Craig was cheaper. Like I wish he had fallen to like 3,500 or something.
3,600 on FanDuel with no ownership. Monty Morris,
I like
4,500 with 50%.
Yeah, I like Torrey Craig on FanDuel.
I'd play Torrey Craig over Monty Morris by a mile in this spot now. Getting no additional information.
Yeah, I mean, ownership wise, it just makes sense. Like you can get burned, absolutely, badly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not worried about Craig failing. You're worried about Morris succeeding.
Well, right. I'm saying if we're guessing wrong and if Morris just starts again,
right?
Like, which it is scary because he played so well. He could very easily start again.
He could.
So I guess that's the thing. Like Craig could really easily replace Barton in the starting lineup. Like Malone has loved using Barton as his sixth man in the past.
True. But someone has to be the person that loses the minutes there, and it would very much surprise me if it was Morris over, or if it was Barton over Morris.
I think Beasley
in
loses
this
the minutes.
game.
Like Beasley played 30 last. Beasley played 30 last game. He'd be the first guy I take minutes from.
Okay. This is one to pay attention to all day. But getting Craig out there for more minutes is like the exact reason he's on the team.
And I think it's worth noting that, and I don't remember the specific matchup, but I'm like 90% sure that I'm right. There was a point earlier this year where Craig had like started a couple games, then went back to the bench. Then they played like Westbrook or something, and Craig was sent right back to the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Because like when you're playing a Pelicans team that has Drew Holiday and nobody, you don't need Craig out there. He doesn't do anything to help your offense. He's just out there to rebound and to play defense.
Yeah.
Against James, that, like you said, that's exactly why he's on the team.
Mm-hmm. If you're not deploying Torrey Craig to guard James Harden, he doesn't need a roster spot any longer.
Right.
Where do you want to be on Monty Morris at 5,100 on DraftKings, garnering 28% ownership?
I probably won't be that high.
Yeah.
I'll obviously have him, playing a bunch of lineups,
right.
But I'll probably, again, project him for like 26, 28 minutes, and that'll probably get me some, but nowhere near that much.
Yeah, he should not be 30% owned on DraftKings at 5,100.
I'm just trying to see.
He can just fail at that number regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know he had a really good game, but let's not pretend that even if he starts, he's out there playing with Gary Harris and Jokic and potentially Barton if we're wrong, and Millsap. Like, it's not like he's not Jamal Murray. He's not going to just consistently go out there and make himself the guy every night.
Yeah. Weird game.
I'm trying to see how many minutes he's played with Jokic this year. He has played 536 minutes with Jokic on the floor this season. He's averaged 0.72 fantasy points per minute.
This is Morris?
Morris, yeah. 13.3% usage rate alongside Jokic.
That's
granted, some of those minutes probably also had Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
But a lot of them didn't have Will Barton, so that's kind of a fair trade-off.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not digging Morris tonight.
330.
Now, if he goes ahead and plays 40 minutes again, we'll fuck it all. But
well, right, exactly. 333 minutes alongside Jokic without Murray, 0.77 fantasy points per minute.
Okay. I like this Nuggets deep dive.
Yeah, I mean, diving into the mind of Mike Malone never ends up making you look dumb.
Never. All right, let's talk Rockets. I think we've touched on everything for Denver at this point. James Harden, $13,600 on FanDuel. Still 12.9 on DraftKings. He's at roughly 20% on both sites. $64 on Yahoo. How do you do it? What do you want to do with it?
I still think he's a good play.
So do I.
It's just a matter of getting there. But again, 38 to 40 minutes. This is like you said, it's the best actual game on the slate. Paul's minutes are increasing, but even if you give him 30 to 32, that's still like half of James Harden's minutes coming without Chris Paul, which we know what he does in that situation. But also, he's not going to just totally defer to Paul. Like, he's still, just the way he's playing right now, he's going to keep shooting.
Yeah.
You see, the hit and assists, but over this recent stretch, like right before Paul came back, Harden wasn't getting assists anyway, because he had nobody to pass to. So I still think that it's not the clear-cut play that it was when Paul was out, but it's still a really good play, I think.
I'm on the same page. I still love it here. No problem with it. I just don't know how easy it is to fit.
Right, I agree. And like DraftKings, where the price tags come down to 12.9, I still don't know that paying $2,100 more for James Harden than Nikola Jokic makes a lot of sense.
Oh, man. It's really hard to hear. And the price tag came down to 12.9. It's just a sentence you don't get a lot.
Yeah.
On my first crunch for DraftKings, I got 28% Harden, which I am not at all upset about.
No. How much Jokic did you get?
I mean, if I got none, it wouldn't shock me because I hadn't changed anything for him.
Right.
I got I got 20.
Oh, okay.
So
I was gonna say that's where I think
increase.
That's where I think I probably that's why I think it's hard to get to Harden, is because you have Jokic and then you have Westbrook for almost 2K less. Not that I'm putting Westbrook in the same category as Harden, but it's a pretty significant price difference.
38% Gobert. I think I like this slate. Do you want any Chris Paul?
I have no issue with it.
Neither do I. I got 21 on my first run, and I only have him in for 28 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go like
ownership. Now, a lot of that has to do with the questionable tag,
right?
Which we will not probably know about by lock.
I think they said he's playing today.
It's up in the air now, I think.
I'd seen yesterday he was playing today and having his minutes increased, and he was uncertain for tomorrow.
Let me double check. I think the wording has changed.
Okay.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. D'Antoni said he would play Friday and might rest on Saturday. So, yeah, never mind. But the questionable tag will keep ownership down. So I hope it stays on all day.
Can I skip all my content tomorrow and just tell everyone now to just play James Harden and let the rest figure itself out?
I mean, I don't care. You're asking the wrong guy. That's a message for Tom, so if you're listening, Tom. Fareed, 23% expected ownership on DK. Eric Gordon, 22%. How do you feel about those two numbers? One of which I think is more reasonable than the other.
I like both. I prefer Fareed. What did you say the ownership was? I missed that.
They're the same at 23 and 22. So
yeah, Fareed. I'm really fine with. That seems high for me on Gordon.
Okay. I think I'd prefer Gordon.
Really?
I don't know. Fucking hate him. So on the first crunch, this is just 60% cap. I'm not touching anything. Eric Gordon's the guy I got second most. On the slate, not like for the Rockets. The only guy I got more was Hazonia.
You said you like this slate?
Well, I'll be unique.
Yeah.
I got 27% for Reed. Dude, Kenneth Reed is 7,900 on FanDuel right now.
That's pretty insane.
He was not playing for the Nets 2 weeks ago. And he's like the second most expensive power forward on the FanDuel slate now. Yeah, Gordon for 5K is just interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I played him a pretty decent amount last slate at that price against the Pels. I mean, the problem obviously is with Paul playing more minutes. Like he's playing all of his time alongside at least one of those guys now, if not both. He gets basically no production when he's playing with both of them.
Right.
When he plays with one, he's okay. Like I don't dislike him at the price tag. He should play big minutes, and it's a good enough matchup. It's just that a lot of times it's going to be kind of empty minutes.
Yeah, I'm not stoked about that, and I don't know. I'll make some adjustments clearly, but I need some more value to come out to get me off of guys like Eric Gordon.
Yeah.
For Reed, I'm just nervous about the price tag. I'll be around the field, but 6,900 is a lot. And this is not exactly a good Kenneth Faried spot unless you're in some sort of like 6-year-old revenge narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I have him at 34 minutes and like 35.5 points.
I have him at 36, but I have his per minute rates way lower than what he's been doing over the past couple days. So somebody I need to take a look at. Anybody else for the Rockets?
Nope.
Alrighty, hit that like button, everybody. And now we thrive. You go to bit.ly/Awesemo. $10 on a $10 deposit, 20 on 100, and 50 on 200. Adam and I are going to walk through some of our favorite props for the day. And we're going to start right at the top. Let me get back to my sheet and refresh. Marc Gasol. Over under 15.5 points. You get 90 for taking the over.
You said 15.5?
Yes.
I have him at 15.5, so I guess I would take the under.
Well, apparently I like Marc Gasol better than everyone in the world because I have him at 19. So I'm taking the over. I thought that was going to go differently than it did.
Yeah, so did I.
Russell Westbrook. Even action on both sides. Points, rebounds, and assists, 43.5. Oh, okay. That's a good line.
I have 41.9, so I would take the under.
Oh, you're coming in low again. I have 43.6, so I'm a tenth of a point above that number. I'm going to go ahead and ignore it. All right, we got to do it. James Harden. Points plus rebounds plus assists. You get even action on both sides. The number is 51.5.
I have 51.8.
I have 52.1. Probably a stay away.
I think I have his assist percentage probably a little higher than it should be too. So I would, if I had to take something, it would be the under, but I just wouldn't pick this one.
Yeah. Any standing out for you? Are you looking at them right now?
Yeah, I have them up.
Okay.
Gordon Hayward, 17.5 points plus rebounds.
I laughed at that one too, and I just didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
But we'll do it. 105 points for the over. Points, rebounds, right?
Yeah.
I have the total at 14.5. Jesus, what a fall from grace.
I'm at 16.8.
I'm taking the under. I'll get a lot more out of cheering for that too.
I'd have to take the over, I guess, but
you have it.
Yeah.
Anything else here that looks good? Oh, I like this one. Nikola Jokic, 6.5 assists.
Over. I haven't even looked at my model, but
you get 85 points for the over.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I've got him at 7.5.
I've been 9.4.
Yeah, goddamn. Feels high.
I think I just put in his rates over the last month.
That's a tight line too, man. If the line were 7.5, I would like the under so much more. But to get to 7 assists is not crazy to me.
Yeah. If I go to its season average assist percentage, I have an 8.7 assists.
Okay. Man, you love Jokic.
I do.
Probably like the best offensive center in basketball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alrighty, guys, that is it. Coming up later today. No, thanks to Thrive, by the way. Coming up later today at 1:30, Chris Spags, Alex Osimo Baker, Evan Silva, the final on the contrary of the season, breaking down the Super Bowl. So come tune in 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have Laffy with the deep dive this afternoon. The deeper dive coming back at 5 o'clock, and then at 6 p.m. tonight. Fast Eddie Fear, Chris Spags, live before lock, taking you all the way up until 7 o'clock. And then we head on to the weekend. It's Super Bowl weekend. I'm honestly thrilled that there's only 3 NBA games on Sunday. And I could care less about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm torn because I wish there was a good slate during the Super Bowl because I would just much rather do that than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
I will have the house to myself, and I'm probably not going to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I assume that I'll get invited to a friend's house or something and be obligated to go and watch it, but I couldn't care less.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take that day to catch up on all of the things that I need to do and maybe, just maybe, start building a baseball model. We're getting there.
Yeah, getting close.
There we go. Best of luck, everybody. We will talk to you again Monday morning.